We still need to generate the 1/32nd of an inch radius on the tool nose. We'll use an abrasive bench stone for this operation because it's much more controllable and forgiving than the grinder. This type of stone has a fine grit on one side for polishing and a coarse grit on the other side for roughing a geometry. We'll start with the coarse grit side. Apply some lubricant to keep the material from loading up the stone. The radius will extend from the tool nose all the way to the bottom of the tool, following the edge at the intersection of the side surface and the end surface. Set this edge down parallel to the top of the stone. Do not point the tool nose down, or you will dull the cutting edge. Starting from the far end of the stone with the side of the tool nearly parallel to the top of the stone, drag the tool toward you while simultaneously rotating it. At the end of the stroke, the side of the tool should be about perpendicular to the top of the stone. Repeat this process as many times as necessary until a radius of the correct size has been generated. This appears to be an appropriate size, but the best way to know for sure is to check the radius with a set of radius gauges. Each one of these gauges has various permutations of the same size radius stamped into it. A common set contains gauges ranging from 1/64 of an inch radius to 1/2 of an inch radius in increments of 1/64 of an inch. Remove the 1/32nd gauge, as well as the 3/64 gauge and the 1/64 gauge, which we'll use to inspect the upper and lower limits of the tool nose radius. Hold the tool in front of a bright background like a light fixture to improve contrast. Start with the 1/32nd gauge. Place one of the radii on the gauge over the tool nose and compare the two radii. If you don't see any gaps between the gauge and the tool, then the tool nose radius is close to 1/32 of an inch. This looks like a pretty good match. Let's see how the 3/64 gauge compares. The tool nose touches in the center of the gauge radius, but there are noticeable gaps on either side. Therefore, the tool nose radius is smaller than 3/64 of an inch. Let's see how the 1/64 gauge compares. The tool nose touches on the sides of the gauge radius, but there is a noticeable gap in the center. Therefore, the tool nose radius is larger than 1/64 of an inch. Looks like the 1/32nd radius gauge was the best fit after all. Excellent! Make sure to put the radius gauges back in the pouch and fold everything up. It's very, very easy to lose these little gauges. We're almost done!